What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with purpose and passion, it's gonna find you true. Check my feed this morning, things feel brand new. Post reshuffled, stories I never knew. No more chasing likes, no clickbait thrills. It's 360 Brew, redefining skills. 150 billion thoughts in play. Learning what we mean, not just what we say. Every word, every vibe, every clue, all filtered through the lens of you. What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with purpose and passion, it's gonna find you true. Scatter your thoughts and you'll fade away. Stay on your lane, that's how you'll stay. It craves clarity, names inside it. Meaningful content shines so bright. Switch the system overnight. 1,000 models gone, new inside. Authenticity is the only vibe. No shortcuts left to right. What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? Feeding dreams come through. Post with focus, keep it steady. 360's watching you. So update your story, align your name. The future's semantic is a brand new game. What is this new algorithm? It's learning the real you.
Hang
What
on.
What is this new algorithm? Welcome, Keith. How you doing? It is Friday morning in Melbourne, Australia. It is Thursday evening here in Toronto, and I can't wait to dive into today's conversation.
Oh, it's a big one, isn't it? I mean, you've done lots and lots and lots of research. LinkedIn's got a brand new algorithm. We're trying to work out what it means. It's a killer, and but there's some really massive advantages in learning it. What did you begin? Where do we start? I mean, there's so much going on.
Well, why don't we start with introductions, and then I want to kick off with a little bit of my research and what triggered from this research, what triggered today's conversation. So for those who don't know, my guest and my co-host, and I'm proud to say a good friend from down under, Keith Keller. Why don't you introduce yourself for those who don't already know you?
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, Australia's a long way away, and there's 8 billion people in the world. You may not have heard of me yet. What I do is I've decided, exactly like what LinkedIn wants me to do. I've decided that I want to be the social audio expert. I want to do shows on LinkedIn, on Substack, on YouTube. I'm not sort of dogged on where I send them, but the format is always the same. It's always no video, social audio, video off, this style, talking heads, right? Now, in a way, that's exactly what LinkedIn wants you to do. They want you to focus on one thing be the best in the world, and they will reward you. So this is actually perfect timing. I don't do videos. I don't put my video on. I have a webcam in the back of the house somewhere, but I never plug it in. And I'm dogged, and I'm really brutal on sound, which again is another thing that LinkedIn wants you to do. They want high quality content. So I've been researching what you've been sending me, and it's pretty fascinating. And I think it's going to suit us. It's going to suit us and people like us. We stay in our lane. We know what we're talking about. We talk about it every day, and LinkedIn will reward us for that, won't they?
That is right. I'll jump into my brief introduction and what I want to be recognized for. Want to be the live stream and on-demand event specialist. So as much as I will implement and blend and bring customer experience into my conversations, I want to deliver and help the community that I support and the clients that I support deliver an outstanding, seamless experience so that they can help raise awareness around their brand, get their communities to like, know, and trust them through live streams. So my content will be focused on building awareness around live streams, producing, moderating, and supporting live stream communities. And the on-demand and repurposing will be summaries and how-tos and resources centered around live streaming. That is the lane that I will be sticking into. But now I want to take a moment and welcome all our listeners who are joining us. You know, I keep saying I'm streaming to Substack. I haven't seen the notification yet. Keep an eye on that. See if
it's definitely working. I can see it here.
All right, fantastic. So part of this research, I dove into, you punch in or key in a query, and there's an abundance of resources, top voices, some who we already follow, some new that we're now following, who are all talking about the 360 Brew AI-powered algorithm. Now, what I started to recognize in very short order, a lot of chatter about what it is, how to optimize and make the best use of it, what areas to focus on. I was seeing and reading everything with the exception of one subject matter. Live events. What does 360 Brew do for you when it comes to events? And that really resonated with me as a gap. So here's an opportunity for me to kick off in my lane. Let's start conversations about what the algorithm can do to help and what we can do for ourselves to help ourselves accelerate and be.
What have you found?
Well, why don't we start off with the question, what do we think this new algorithm is and what its intentions are? What do you think the intentions are?
Well, I think from what I can tell, LinkedIn wants to favor expertise over fluff. What I have heard called puffery, which is a real word. And basically there's lots of fluff and bubble on LinkedIn about here's me in front of the mirror taking a selfie in my brand new bikini. And I've often thought, what does that have to do with business? Sure, you're gorgeous, and that's amazing, and good on you for that. But what are you talking about? What's your area of expertise? What do you know? What am I going to learn from you about? And I think LinkedIn is starting to realize that there's a lot of this puffery, this idea that this fluff and bubble to game the system, and that there's actually very little value in most of the posts that people use because they're tricking the system to get more hits, more dopamine. And I think LinkedIn is, I don't know how they're doing it, but I think they're pretty clever at saying, okay, if you know what you're talking about, we'll make sure that we get the word out for you. I'm just going to trust that's what their intentions are.
Absolutely.
They want expertise, and they want to reward expertise, and they want to try and avoid fluff and bubble. Is that a fair assessment, a fair guess?
That is a fair assessment. Leslie, Omar, Kemi, thank you for joining us. If you have questions along the way, and we encourage active participation, we want our events to be an immersive experience for those who are attending live. And if you do have questions, please drop them in the comments and I'll be sure to bring them up and we will address them. Now, I want to preface today's conversation. I am not an expert in algorithms. I am just researching. I am building a brand in real time, and I want to be able to give back to the community with what I'm learning, what I'm finding. And if there is someone who knows something that I don't, I welcome you to join us and share what you know, what you can help others learn to be seen, heard, and remembered with success. Right. Before I jump into this presentation, we're going to try to keep this presentation from being a presentation. I want this to be conversational. That's where live events do their best. So I will bring up slides. I'll probably take them down. But rest assured, I hate reading verbatim, so I don't want to put anyone to sleep. They're here just for part of our conversation. Now, 360 Brew for me, it's a couple of weeks in. For others, we lost Keith. He'll be back shortly. For others, LinkedIn Brew is probably more than a couple of weeks old, and probably a couple of months that people have recognized that things are changing. It is no secret that our reach, our engagement has declined. It seems to be like all we're reading or everything that's coming across our feed is how everyone is up in arms with how poorly they're performing. Now, this is happening with intention. I have full confidence and belief that this will come out on the other end being grateful for this update. This is LinkedIn's most significant update, in some are saying in history. It's so sophisticated. It is AI. It's an AI model that fundamentally is going to change live streaming as much as it's going to change everything else. No one is talking about how it's going to change live streaming, but we're going to talk about that here today, because when you look at the intention and the purpose of what this algorithm is going to do, it's going to make your events, provided that you're following their best practices, it is going to make your events visible to your ideal customer, to your ideal community, to your tribe. But there is some housekeeping that is required, because the AI is reading like a human, is reading and analyzing your profile, matching it to your event description. So it's important that we forget about the spaghetti strategy. Stop throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping that it sticks. Stick in your lane. Know what you're talking about. Describe it to the best of your ability, and focus on bringing people who will see value in that message. And the algorithm will reward you.
Mate. I mean, let's talk about the spaghetti strategy, because we all know what that means. The idea of, oh no, I've got a big event next week and I just hope people can come. But if we can get very intentional, and from what I've read, if you can get the first, say, paragraph, even the first sentence, to really hone in, this is why it's very good that we need to know what we're doing, what we're good at. If we can get very clear on what we're setting out to talk about, and put that in the first paragraph, it gives LinkedIn something to chew on, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is,
how do we do that?
What
so are you thinking? Let's pull apart how you would even frame your marketing materials. How do you do it?
Well, it's I'm starting to read and hear more and more of. We've all heard of SEO. It's the search engine optimization, and now more marketers are talking about generative engine optimization. So you got to think like an AI. You got to position what you're writing down so that it's searchable by AI. So if you're using AI to help you, or if you're using AI to guide you, look up GEO and the principles of GEO, and it'll help you redefine how you're writing your descriptions, how you're writing your posts, so that they come up in AI searches just as effectively as in SEO searches.
It's a new field. And I guess the key is that it's not trickery. The point is that we want people to hear what we have to say, or in this case, see.
That's
So
right.
there's 1.2 billion people on LinkedIn. We want them to get our content, but we have to give LinkedIn what it wants. And I guess this session now is really trying to understand how LinkedIn works now, so that we can change the way we have done it. Because I've heard a couple of phrases this week, and one is the content cliff. And that is that, people are hanging out of nowhere. My content went down 50% for no reason. I haven't changed anything, right? But LinkedIn changed something, and we need now to understand. This is bloody good. You've done a lot of research here, so I want to get out of your way.
So here's something fascinating for those who have been screaming out loud, punching the keyboard, and sharing with their communities how their social presence has been debilitated or just crushed to the point where people are questioning, do I break up with LinkedIn, and do I go find a new home to settle down in elsewhere? I haven't noticed that to the same degree that others are sharing. Has there been a decline? Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that there hasn't been a decline. But because I've been sticking to my own message, being my authentic self, listen, the impressions were nothing to write home about when you compare them to people who are getting hundreds of thousands of impressions. And but listen, I always compare. If I were to put the hundreds of impressions that I get, or the low thousands, if you put all those people in a room, or all those eyes in a room, that's still a decent reach.
It's a very important setting.
Right.
I mean, I've been into the city and spent an hour of my life getting there for 8 people. There'd be 8 people on this call right now, and we're sitting in our houses. You got to remember what you're doing. You're doing online content that, first of all, is live and people can enjoy it. But as you call it, the long tail, you love the idea that the replays go on forever. Maybe someone will watch this tomorrow because they couldn't come today, and they'll get that value that we didn't know they needed. And then they'll contact you, and maybe they'll work with you. So this is a very, very, very important change, and we need to really play this game out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So here's one thing that I want to take away from this particular slide, and it fits nicely into the conversation at the point that we're in. While the algorithm may have, as some are suggesting, 150 billion parameters that it is now working with, and as much as it's suggested that it is reading and understanding our content like a human, putting all of that aside and putting the lens and the objective of live streams, connecting our live streams with our ideal viewers has been, or will be, and will continue to be easier. We got to stop trying to push that square peg into a round hole by just inviting everyone. This isn't about just bringing people to an environment that you believe in. It's about bringing people to an environment where those who are attending will get value for attending.
I love this shift. I love this shift. Just to set the tone, and we can talk about this in detail a bit later, but I've been, as a result of this new algorithm, I've been suspended twice in 10 days. But that's because I send a lot of DMs, and I'm pushing because I can't work out until now what I've been doing wrong. But if I can just relax and say, look, LinkedIn wants people to see this. So just describe it well, and LinkedIn will put it in front of people. Like it's a lovely thing to think about. Instead of pushing very hard the spaghetti strategy of throwing things fast at the wall, what about trusting that LinkedIn wants people to see this? And if you know what you're talking about and people want to see it, their job is to simply put that in front of them, and they can make their own mind up, right? It's
That's right.
it's a very, very powerful paradigm shift, isn't it?
So that's the relevance first distribution. And listen, I have some great examples. I've hosted and had fantastic guests on previous shows. Some do better than others. And those who you look back and watch the replay, great conversations. And I now start to piece together, why would a great conversation not perform well? And from a host and a producer of a live stream, I'm now thinking how much influence this new algorithm may have had. I may be the live streaming specialist, but the subject matter, the way I described it, is not my area of expertise. And I had a wonderful conversation with John a few weeks ago, who is an expert in his field. But because I positioned my show and I described my show outside of my realm of expertise, it became about his area of expertise. And it was with good intentions. Don't get me wrong. It was with good intentions, because I wanted to spotlight John and bring his community, his ideal client to the show. We didn't have as good of an outcome as I was anticipating. So now this becomes a combined effort where any one of us who are thinking of hosting or having a show, if you're going to bring experts from outside of your area of expertise, it's important that you set the stage up. How does your expertise tie into the event? Or if someone else's expertise, which may not be yours, takes center stage on that live event, then it's important to know who's going to take the lead in promoting and describing that show. So in John's instance, in John's show, if we would have set the stage and have him promote the show as his own, as an ESG expert, environmental, sustainable, what's the G for? Can't remember. Governance,
yeah.
right? So if he would have set the tone in his brand voice, and I would have sat back and just produced or curated his show, but if he would have taken the lead, he would have provided the descriptions in his community, in his brand voice, I could assure you that that would have taken off much better than the results we came up with.
I actually love this. I love this description. So you know a lot about live streaming, and you've got an audience, and you love doing it. But you don't know really that much about ESG, and your audience doesn't know you for that.
That's right.
So if you could have done that, and this is a very good learning for the future, especially given what you do, if you could have held John's hand and sort of walked him through how to run an event, he has the audience. He just doesn't have the expertise to run the event. But you should have, and we know this now, we should have run it on his account with his audience, and you should have just held his hand while he ran it, because you know a lot about this, but no one knows you for ESG, so no one came.
That's right.
Whereas had he have done the event on his account, people would have come, and you could have held his. You could have even have run the event. And this is a very key learning, because if we're tagging with people, we just need to stay in our lane, know what we do. We do this. We don't know ESG or anything else, cooking. So it's going to change the nature of how we run events. Do you imagine in the future that you will run events on other people's accounts and sort of do a bit of a takeover of them? Like,
Yes, I've done that already. So the platforms allow for the owners of the accounts, which in this instance would be a business or a professional who has an account. They can add me as an account admin, and I can run it and produce it from the back end.
I love this. I love this because it's a very good example of someone who knows what they're doing, but they're missing that key skill, the key skill of doing the event. You know how to do the event, but you don't know the subject matter they're talking about. Most importantly, you don't have the audience. And the example that we can use is, as you may remember, I did an event about how food affects your mood for entrepreneurs who are a bit run down, right? Now, I thought that was a pretty easy link to understand. Entrepreneurs running their own businesses, using the internet, don't get much sleep. They don't usually eat very well. Let's help you, right? But LinkedIn didn't think that was a relevant point, and almost no one came to that, even though it was a great show.
Yeah.
Almost no one came to that event, and that's probably my fault because I tried to get LinkedIn to talk about food when really I talk about tech.
That's right. So another great example as to why it's important to understand what the algorithm is asking of us, or what LinkedIn as a enterprise is asking of its creators. We had good intentions. Your show as well as my show, two great examples, two great conversations, and experts in their field. But the outcome, the reality was, hey, there were some lessons learned from us, because we weren't, or we didn't set ourselves up for what we are known for or recognized for. So
yeah, and it would be simply a matter of holding that person's hand. Now, what's really interesting about this algorithm idea is that a lot of people know what they know, but they don't know what you know. So we have a very unique opportunity now to actually help people who want to get the word out, but don't know how to push the button or what mic to buy. Because I've read a lot of stats about this. LinkedIn wants the material to be good quality. They don't just want you to talk into some dinky mic in the lounge room, do they?
no, that a lot of people say, show up as you are, and yes, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can show up as you are, but you can also show up as you are and sound good at a nominal fee. And make no mistake, I was one of those people who were completely oblivious to the importance of audio. And I'm going to shame myself here for a moment, where I had little regard for those who were hosting shows. So if I were to jump on and talk with someone, I'm driving in the car, I want to engage in this conversation, and I got the window cracked open, the horns are blaring, cars are driving past me, and I'm having this conversation through Bluetooth in my vehicle as I'm driving to my destination. I was completely ignorant around the white noise that I was introducing into that conversation.
Yeah. Because you don't hear it, do you?
You don't hear it.
You don't. And why this is important is that we are now pushing back on what we're learning, and we're bringing it out to show what we can do. The actual PDF, I read the PDF. The PDF from the algorithm is 68 pages. That's the official document. 68 pages explaining it. Right? Now, no one's going to read that. I didn't read it. I skimmed it. And I just found all these cheats, all these really cool videos that I can I saw about it. But we are in a very, very, very unique part of history. This is the biggest AI, or certainly the biggest update that LinkedIn's ever done. A lot of people have got to get their head around it. So I'm going to get out of your way. I know you've got a lot of slides.
No, listen, this is a conversation. You are not getting in my way. Stop me along the way, because this is how we show up as our best selves. I'm not going to sit here and regurgitate and read slides. I want to have this conversation. And now I am proud for each time someone questions, America, what are you doing? Delete moving connections. Why do you keep going through this annual exercise that you talk about where, 1,000 members are unfollowed, removed from your community? Do you not understand the power of those numbers? And here we are now being reminded about the profile intelligence and the importance of profile intelligence and how our network quality and connections now play an important part of this 360 analysis. So
are you saying that the quality of your network also determines what LinkedIn serves you and what where it serves your content?
Right.
Does it scour the if you've got a very generic sort of you'll take anyone approach, it might go in your go against you?
Think about it. It was a few years ago where my profile was one of a job seeker. So I had a lot of people that I knew through industry connections, may not have known them personally, but had ties to an industry that I worked alongside. I now go back and I do this exercise that I refer to, and I see those same people haven't engaged or invested in themselves, haven't played any part in their own profile. So if we were to consider what LinkedIn, or as we know, LinkedIn previously used to push out, and I can't speak to the percentages, they'll probably still be the same. But if LinkedIn is pushing out content to, 2 to 3% of your content initially goes out to your community. And if you're, in my case, if I'm known as the live streaming specialist, and that 2 to 5% of my content is being pushed to someone who does not align with my message, does not align with my area of expertise, is in a completely different industry that I'm no longer in, that lands on their plate, and they may never see it because they're inactive, or they will see it and it'll mean nothing to them, and the message just falls flat and it doesn't get pushed further because the people that it's being presented to are not helping you. Right? So it's important to understand that, hey, it's great to have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is not rewarding vanity anymore.
And that is right.
If it ever did. It's not a vanity metrics platform. LinkedIn is not Instagram. I got to keep telling people that. LinkedIn is not Instagram. It's not there for vanity. It's there for value and engagement and in education and empowerment. And it rewards people that talk about things with authority. It doesn't reward fluff anymore.
That's right. It's no longer about popularity. It's about precision in your field of expertise.
Yeah, this is a great format. So tell us how you think this format of live streaming might now be working within LinkedIn. What we're doing today is we're sending this to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, just in case LinkedIn falls over or you get a glitch or it goes down. But if you want to get authority on LinkedIn using live streaming, what are you thinking we need to do? This is very, very poignant. I've never seen anyone talking about this. We are on our own. We're in our own lane here now, aren't we?
Well, let's talk about this. There's 4 key benefits that you want to look out for as a live stream host. You want to make sure you got the right people showing up. And LinkedIn wants you to have a smarter audience showing up so that you can connect. So whether your live stream is intended for lead generation, whether it's intended for just brand awareness and community building, or simply educating and updating your community on your industry trends, it wants to be able to do that smarter for you. it also wants your visibility and wants you to understand that visibility is a long tail and the power behind the long tail.
Let's
So a
pick
lot
up
of
on this. This is
yes,
very
let's
important for an Aquarian. What do you mean by visibility is a long tail? There's another song. Visibility is a long, long tail. Let me see if we can make this sail. I'm riffing. There's still another song coming on.
well, here's something I recognize when I'm connecting with community members. When I'm reviewing and looking at their profiles, I now start paying closer attention. Is this person or has this person tried events? And I'll go into their events tab and I will see events with very low participation, very low engagement. And typically what follows is you look at the date and last time they tried it was 6 months, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And each time I ask, it's like, hey, I noticed that you tried it. What happened? It didn't work. Well, why might it have not worked? What do you think you could have done, or what do you think you did or would do differently today if you tried this? And some will tell me, it's like, I have no idea. I know that someone suggested it was a good idea. I tried it and it failed miserably. So if you're doing a pop-up show, understand that that's exactly what it is. It pops up and it's gone. And if you're not talking about it, or you're not talking about it before it happens, LinkedIn wants you to promote it. Your posts, your content leading up to the event. You want to build hype. You want to build awareness. You want people to consider your message as something of value and importance. You're not going to want to miss this. And here's why. And a few months back, you heard me talk about the content trilogy, and I was competing with myself with my own content. I would host and run shows and then try to write and talk about something completely different because I thought that my content and my shows had to be separate entities. Turns out I was making things harder than they needed to be. There's value in building awareness, and that's the beginning of the long tail. You want to build that awareness. Build the momentum of your show, of your live stream, of your webinar. Call it what you want, but you want to start to build, planting those seeds, building the stage, and giving it enough time. And here's something that I'm going to have to rethink in terms of my strategy. My sweet spot was a week. Schedule an event a week out, put out a poll that will give some insight as to what my community is thinking on the subject matter that I'm going to talk about. And this may require further testing, but the sweet spot may be 2 or 3 weeks, where you take 1 week to talk about and set up and raise awareness. The second week, you focus on the show. And then the third week, you focus on repurposing. Hey, in case you missed it, here's what we covered last week. Here are some clips. If it brings or drives value, you may want to invest 60 minutes or however long and listen to the replay.
I love this ongoing idea, and you and I both are on a very similar train in the sense that I talk a lot about repurposing. And my show, which starts next week, I started planning in September. And I think this is actually what you're really talking about now. Like, because I knew this show was going to be in September, I actually started promoting it then. And I started talking about it then. And 152 people have signed up to come to next Tuesday's show. So had I have just started the week before, I might have got 50 people, maybe though I might have, but I've got 152 people that have signed up to come to the event next week, and they know it's on. And with this in mind, I'm very proud of this strategy. The following day, because I know a lot of people won't come because they'll just forget, I'm doing a recap show for all those people that said, oh shit, I forgot. I got my days wrong. I'm deliberately factoring in that people may forget. So on the Tuesday, Monday in the US, I'm doing the main show. And then on Tuesday, I'm doing a recap show of sort of a glorified version of the same thing for people that I know who will forget. But I started planning that in September, and I think this is what we probably should start. I'm already starting to think about my January shows, February shows, because I usually have January off. So I'm already starting to think about my 2026 shows, and maybe LinkedIn wants us to. Is this something that's foreign to you? You like to think a bit sort of in the cusp in the moment, yeah?
Well, I've always been notorious for being off the cuff and shoot from the hip and spontaneous. But now I'm being cautioned that spontaneity may not be rewarded. Right? So it's important for us, if this is how we normally interact, is we may want to rethink and pivot.
Yeah.
And retool.
I love what you're saying, because I think you and I both have, with what we now know, is a couple of things we've recognized that maybe LinkedIn doesn't want us to do. And we need to rethink. And I'd be interested, we've got quite a few people listening now. I'd be interested to know if anyone has any questions, because the audience may have some. We've already got halfway through. Are you throwing the questions now?
Yeah. So if we have questions, let's drop them in the chat, and we'll bring them up. If we're connected and you want to join us on stage, we are welcoming anyone who wants to join us and join the conversation. This is a community show, a show that welcomes everyone on stage who wants to join and be part of this conversation. If there's something that you believe that we're missing out, that will bring and continue to drive value around this new algorithm, we want to hear from you. Send me a DM. I'll send you the link, and we'll welcome you on stage, and you can join the conversation.
It's very important that we get the lay of the land of what the people think. We can talk for hours and have no one comment, but that may be of limited benefit. But I would really I'd really like to know what people think this new algorithm could be. We think we know what it is, and we think we know what it might benefit, how it might benefit people. But I would love to hear what people think. Have you been getting questions from your clients and your colleagues about this? So
no questions, because it's new to them as much as it was to me, right? And for those who knew it was coming, like all the top LinkedIn voices, they've probably been keeping this under wraps for months, since the beginning of the year, because everyone was talking about poor engagement, poor reach, but no one came out until the last few weeks and started talking about 360 Brew. We all knew something was happening. We couldn't quite put our finger on it as to what was happening or why it was happening, but now it's in the public domain and everyone's talking about it. And it's important that we embrace and we adapt and adopt so that it will help us. It's no longer a hindrance for anyone who thought it was. Listen, LinkedIn, just like any other social media platform, their intention is to grow their ecosystem. Their intention is to help you keep other viewers, listeners, participants, members, however you want to define them, here. Right? And I'm surprised that all the chatter is around written content, when we know written content, if you put written content on a scale, it's declining. It's losing, depending on how you want to see it.
Because it's easier to do.
Yeah, it's very likely one of the core reasons why most people talk about written content, because it is one of the most easiest things to do. But that's where the windows of opportunity open up. Don't just do it because it's easy. And people will hear me talk about how think like a consumer. And some consumers they like to compare apples to apples, with whatever it is that they're buying, with whatever it is that they're consuming. Stop positioning yourself from the lens of apples to apples. You don't want to be just another apple, because you will fall into that doom scroll and you will just be 1.7 seconds of someone's life as they scroll past what you said. You want to be an orange in a basket of apples. You want to be able to stick out and be different.
You want to be the swan, don't you?
You want people to stop on their tracks, like, hey, hold on a second. This is different. Let me take a closer look. Let me see what kind of value this is bringing. And sure, we talk for hours, and we enjoy talking for hours. And many people ask me, it's like, well, do people really stick around for the entirety of the show? Well, there's no secret. People don't stick around for the hour, for the 2 or 3 hours in some cases where you and I are speaking. But when you compare it to the written content format, whether it's carousel, whether it's just a short form, long form, people are consuming us for longer durations. The last time I checked, or the first time I checked, it was 10-1. You were getting more eyes and dwell time, 10-1 when compared to other formats. Now it's still 7-1, but there's probably more accuracy behind that data. Now, a lot of people will also ask, what are your sources? Today's article that I wrote, I shared all my sources. This isn't, something that I conjured up myself. Give credit where credit is due. I shared all the sources in which I'm learning and collecting this information from. Right? Because it's not my area of expertise. You got to give credit where credit is due.
And because this is quite a new idea, sometimes we don't even know the questions to ask, because we haven't even got our head around what it is to even understand what questions to ask. I'm a little bit like this too. I know it's coming, or it's here, but I don't actually understand exactly how it's going to benefit me. But what I really love is that we can start with what we do, and that is live streaming. I don't like to write articles, so I don't really care what LinkedIn does about articles, because I'm not going to write them and I'm not going to read them. So I don't care what that means. I don't really care. But what I really do care is I want more people to come to our shows. How do we do it? What do we need to do? So if you've got some questions about what you need, please let us know, because we're making this up as we go. It's very, very, very new. So we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Substack. Now, all of those 3 places will create a replay if that's what you prefer. Can you work us through what you might do after the show to keep it moving, the long tail, as you call it?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of this show, I will summarize and drop a blog entry on Substack, recapping what we talked about today. It will find its way back into LinkedIn as an article post. Then there's the short clips for those who consume short clips, bite-sized pieces of video content, which will be distributed across multiple social media channels. YouTube, for one, it'll find its way home in my YouTube shorts, in my Instagram. Some find their way into LinkedIn in terms of shorts. But it gives those who consume content in a shorter format, it'll give them those golden moments, those nuggets that some people refer to. But let's jump into some of the best practices. Now, these best practices apply not only for live streams, but just in general as it relates to the new algorithm. But for all intents and purposes, I'm talking about driving value from the perspective of a live stream. So before you go live, it is important, and we hear a lot of LinkedIn voices talking about optimization, and it's probably more important than ever to ensure that not only your headline, your about section, and your featured section reflect your area of expertise. So for me, it's important that it talks about live streaming in different variations with different keywords. With the nuance should be the same. It could be delivered in different formats, but it should be easily recognizable. I should be easily recognizable as a specialist or expert
Yeah.
in live streams.
It's actually very, very cool if you get your head around this. LinkedIn wants you to be known for what you do. So if you know what you do, LinkedIn will help. I used to, when I was a Twitter dude, when Twitter was Twitter, my tagline was, "You are already awesome. My job is to make you world famous." You already know what you do. I don't need to tell you to suck eggs. You know what you do. You know it better than me, but you're a little bit invisible, and that pisses you off. Let's use Twitter to get the word out to the 300,000, 100 million people using it. And it was very, very, very effective, in the early 2020s. Now, maybe not so much. But this idea that when you know what you want, when you know what you do, you want to target people who want what you have. So it's LinkedIn is actually going after the shakers and the movers. It's actually really defining it now. It's getting very clear. In a way, it's very, very cool. It's really getting focused on the idea of what you want. And if you don't know what you want, maybe LinkedIn might. I don't think they'll penalize you. You'll just be invisible because you don't know what you want. I mean, have you ever been to a party? Have you ever been to a barbecue? And someone says, "Oh, mate, I need a job." What do you do? "Oh, I could do anything. I'll mow lawns. I'll clean cars. I'll pull apart motors. I'll go into the city. I'll work in a factory." Yeah, but what do you want to do? "Oh, I'll do anything." And then the next day he says, "Oh, look, I've got a job. Do you know anyone who is really, really, really good at cleaning cookware?" "Well, I don't, because I know this one guy, but he'll do anything. So he's probably average at everything." He doesn't stand out. He wants a job. He's so desperate he'll do anything, but he hasn't niched. And I think LinkedIn really wants you to get clear on what you do. Would that be fair? Do you think that's really
absolutely? And that not only is a fair statement, I think it is the statement to really pay close attention and focus in on. So whether you're a job seeker, whether you're a business owner, a professional of any kind, you want to be consistent in presenting yourself, your brand, in your brand voice, and understand your persona better than no one else. Because when you do that, you will get the eyes and the support from LinkedIn. So great segue. Let's talk about consistency. Consistency from this perspective. Hey, if I want to be known as the live streaming specialist, there's nothing stopping me from talking about adjacent subject matters, but keep it limited to 2. They're suggesting 2 to 4. I'd probably say 2 to 3 adjacent topics of conversation. So live streaming can fall in the marketing wheelhouse and can fall in, from my lens and my perspective, in the customer experience wheelhouse. We are delivering an experience that drives brand awareness so that those who are in a position to buy, those who are in a position to make a decision, you're raising awareness. So I can bring marketing and customer experience and talk about that from a live stream perspective. So those complement each other. So if you're going to talk about more than one thing and you want to be a specialist in one area, it's okay to have adjacent subject matters, but they have to complement one another. And if we go back to the example that we talked about with ESG, if I were to talk about exclusively about ESG, for instance, we had a great show last week where Michael LeBlanc was my guest. His area of expertise is cybersecurity. I'm not a cybersecurity professional. So if I were to take the reins and talk about cybersecurity, I probably wouldn't get any elevation, any eyes, because that's not what I'm known for.
This is actually a very important thing to know for two reasons. Two very, very important reasons. We talk a lot about pod guesting, the idea that going on someone else's show is very beneficial to you because they do all the work and you just turn up, right? But in this case, if you had a very specific genre that didn't align to the guest or to the host, the show would probably fail because LinkedIn wouldn't know where to put it. So I love what you're doing because you are the sort of conduit in the middle. You can teach people to run their own shows. You can run a show on your channel and feature them, or you can take over their channel and run their show from your point of view. So you can make them look good because I don't know what buttons to push and what mics to buy. You know that stuff. So you've got really three irons in the fire there. One is you can teach people to do it themselves. You can run it on their channel, or you can run it on your channel. And now, knowing now what we know, we can make that decision each time. Running it on our own channel is easy because we're so used to it, but our audience might not want to talk about that topic. And so this show might fail.
So what do we normally say? Show up where your audience is. So if you're building a show whose theme and subject is being broadcast and distributed to your community, and that community does not resonate or align with that message, don't be surprised when the outcome is, less than desirable. You got out of it what you put into it. You put a show together for the wrong audience. Yeah. Plain and simple.
Oh, I love this. I just love this because creators create. And I've been guilty of just doing shows for the sake of doing shows. I'm going to get very, very, very intentional now. I'm going to align with people that have that talk about what we do. But you've got a different skill set. You can run shows for other people about what they do, even if it's not what you normally talk about. But you would have to do it on their channel.
That's right.
That's a key learning, isn't it?
That's right. And here's where my heart pours out and bleeds a little bit for all the great people who are on LinkedIn, who are recognized for being connectors. And how many have helped me and helped others like me bring their community members to our stages. That might be the one area where we're going to kind of experience a little bit of a hindrance, because with good intentions, we're bringing people to be part of the conversation. But if those people don't align with the message and their profiles don't align with the show's description and the show's subject matter, it might hinder the success of your show. Things to think and look out for. It may not, because for all we know, if this new algorithm is being, or as we're being told, it is acting and reading and understanding like a human. If it understands that the people who are bringing others to the stage are connectors, I don't know how far the intelligence goes, but just a word of caution, something to look out for.
Yeah, you could probably have generic topics. You couldn't switch from cooking to gardening to bushwalking 3 weeks in a row. Or maybe they would all be under lifestyle. So maybe you could. But it's very interesting. It's extremely interesting that we're in a new paradigm, because no one wants to talk at the wall. No one wants to just do these shows for the sake of doing the shows, and then you wake up the next day and you found out that actually no one watched it. It's very debilitating when that happens.
Yeah,
I've had that experience. You do a great show and no one sees it. Well, what's the point of that?
So let's talk about that, and let's focus on the hook or the show's opening. So similarly, in the past shows or in the past content, you'd hear a lot of people talk about your hook is where you capture your audience's attention. If you lose them at the hook, they're not going to want to read further or beyond the hook. And now that's got me thinking, even though I have two specific genres and themes for my shows, I got the storytelling journey, which brings my guests to our stage and allows them to share their narrative, their professional narrative, whether it's through a business lens, through a professional lens, or just a personal life story that they want to share. There's the storytelling journey. Then there's today's show, which is its theme is your voice, your vision, your stage. So it's more about marketing, educating. But I lead each show with the show title. And now it's got me questioning, I got to move that show title somewhere else. Because if I'm going to hook someone in, I might not be doing myself any service by leading and hooking them with just a title.
I thought the exact same thing. I thought, what does that title tell LinkedIn? It doesn't tell them what it's about. And does it have to be in the top title in the first paragraph? We need to know this.
Yeah.
Because I use, a lot of people know this now, but I used to write songs. So my whole life is a song. I'm always thinking about a catchy title that could be a sing-along jingle that I could send to a radio station. LinkedIn feels like homework. I'm always thinking of a title for a song. That's the way my brain thinks. Now, I've noticed that my blog posts always have these catchy titles. And I test them. I test these titles to saying, I reckon this one's going to go well. What do you think? Well, why didn't that work? I thought that was good. But if you have these, when we were writing songs, we noticed there was an incredible amount of songs that sounded something like, Baby, I Love You. Yeah, well, that's great. There's about 17 songs on the top 40 with that title. Which one are we listening to, Keith? Which one are we talking about? Baby, I Love You. I mean, there's probably a dozen songs that you know with that line in the chorus. It doesn't really say anything, even though it's an emotion we all like to talk about. So maybe the same thing. We need to have these really sharp, catchy titles to let LinkedIn know and the consumer what it's going to be about. What is this about, Keith? Yeah. What is this funky algorithm? This could be a good way to finish. We can finish on the funky version, the 1980s pop, Duran Duran version. Just imagine, all these funky, boy bands in the 80s doing this pop song called "What Is This Algorithm?" But that gets your attention, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
We might finish on the funky one, but I think what we've got to now do is we've got to tell LinkedIn what it wants. It wants to know what the show's about, how it is relevant to what you do, and how the guest will bring value to your audience, as opposed to just interviewing someone because it's something to do on a Saturday afternoon. It's going to be challenging because some titles are very generic. The storytelling show. Right. Well, okay, that's good. You're gonna introduce someone who's going to tell their story, but I don't think they want that vanilla stuff anymore.
That's right. So it could require a rebranding or just some refinement. I can embed the title in the thumbnail, so people who are looking at the graphic will know it is the storytelling journey. But in the title, I'm going to have to come up with something that is a little more eye-catching, that'll teach or provide insight and focus on value. Try not to be too, clicky. You don't want, because you will be flagged if you come across as just delivering clickbait and getting people to get into your show. You got to find the balance between value, and it's got to provide clarity. So listen, this is still early stages. We're going to learn, and as we do normally, and we love doing this, Keith, we will test, and we've said it before and we'll continue to say it, we're comfortable sucking at something, provided that it's going to teach us something and help all of us move forward and be better.
Because someone has to go first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And not everyone has the courage or the bandwidth or the time or the mind space or just the desire. Like, I don't like feeling stupid, but I don't mind it in the sense that someone has to do it. And I love the payoff. Personally, I love the payoff of coming out the other side and says, guess what? I worked it out. Tick. I'm pretty clever. I did that. I worked it out. I get a buzz out of sort of going in there and tinkering. Yeah. But not everyone's up for it. It's a specific mindset. It does take a little bit of sort of courage in a way.
It does take courage. Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, many of us overthink this, and it's got to be perfect before we do it. We're comfortable in not being perfect. In fact, we encourage and condone. In fact, I'll go as far as say condone. I condone imperfections. It really brings our authentic selves. It demonstrates not only vulnerability, but progression. Because if you listen to one of my shows from 6 months ago or at the beginning of the year when I started on this journey and stepped away from the keyboard, if I were waiting for the perfect moment, I would not have hit live today, let alone a year ago.
It's so important. Like you won't know this until you've done it. Like my wife is learning guitar. She's been playing like every night for 5 years. Now, if she had recorded what she was like after a month and then after a year and after 2 years, she would have heard that she was getting better. Now, when she hears herself in isolation, she doesn't feel like she's getting any better. But if you know that you've been playing every night for 5 years, you are better than you were. But you've got to be a beginner because you just don't come out of the womb playing guitar. If you want to learn something, you got to suck at it for about a year. The challenge that we find is that sometimes you don't really want to suck in public. You know, Carol doesn't play in front of people. She just plays in the lounge room, and I'm the only one that hears it. And it sounds good, but she thinks it sounds terrible, so she doesn't want to have anyone playing. So the challenge for us, we don't mind doing it. We don't mind doing this in public because we've got to learn. And you can't drive sitting in a car park. I mean, you can't just learn to drive, reading a learn to drive manual in the car park, never putting the car into gear. You got to go, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's jump into the next best practice. You see this overlay that I dropped in here, like, comment, share, and now there's this save button. If we look at and consider what will help amplify us. Now, it's no secret. You see people doing it and saying it on other social media platforms. You know, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, comment, and share. If you're bringing value and you start bringing the message, like, comment, and share, and people start to not only like and comment, which in the past, we were happy with the likes and we were happy with some comments in our live streams. But you want those comments to be insightful and not just, fillers. LinkedIn is encouraging. In fact, some LinkedIn top voices are suggesting a comment strategy for LinkedIn growth.
Wow.
You don't even have to post anything. As long as you're engaging in the comments with people that align with who you are, and if you're bringing value simply through comments, you don't even have to post content. So think about that from a live stream perspective. If someone's coming on here And in the past, we would anecdotally say, hey, let us know where you're joining us from. I'd love to see how far this reach is, and we'd see how far our global presence would reach through the comments. We'd have people showing up in different continents of the world. But now the algorithm's going to read this. Remember, it's reading it like a human and thinking and translating what value does that comment have and how does it relate to the show. If it doesn't, guess what? It's doing nothing for you.
I love this idea because I do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But on the other days, I've often thought, well, what do I do today? I don't want to do a show every day. I don't want to sort of go down the rabbit hole of a show because you get sucked in and suddenly 2 or 3 hours go past and you're thinking, hang on, I just had a little comment. It was only supposed to be 10 minutes. So these ideas of promoting the show or doing little comments on other people's shows and finding the alignment, it's something you can do at the cafe, on the train, waiting for the bus, in between your favorite TV show. It's something you can fit into your life. It's actually quite practical, isn't it?
It is quite practical. But let's talk about the underlying gold or silver lining here. Engaging is one thing, engaging with purpose and clarity, another. But the minute people start saving what you've said and sharing, that outweighs a simple like.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? So if by virtue of someone reposting, if you got value, or if I'm delivering value that someone recognizes as valuable not only to themselves, but reshares it or decides to save it. Hey, this is gold. I'm going to save this and come back to it. This will now be a resource that I can come back to. Now, is it going to be a struggle? I'll be the first to say yes. Because how often do you save someone's post? I think it's safe to say seldomly. So LinkedIn is really, really raising the bar here, but also delivering a message of it wants you to deliver value. It has set the bar high for a reason, because in the past when people were just hacking away and trying to find ways to build virality and build vanity, you now set the bar so high that no matter how many hacks you try, your hacks will never meet that threshold that they've set.
Yeah. This is important because I know there's a lot of, for lack of a better word, tricksters. I can teach you how to make 7 figures in a weekend. Follow this very simple plan, which is in my $97 ebook, and you will be rich beyond your wild imaginings. Promise, or your money back. Yeah, okay. I see that sort of stuff all the time. Trickery. They're not telling you anything until you buy the book. That's not what LinkedIn wants. LinkedIn wants you to say, look, I do know what I'm talking about, and here's what we're talking about next week. Please come to the event. The event is going to be very good. But here's a little bit of a teaser about that event. And you've started to do this, haven't you? Started to blog about it. You've started to do posts about it. You're leaking out what the events are about.
Absolutely. So that small trickle before and that trickle afterwards, that is where you continue to drive value. Right. And if you look at the polls that I put out and those similar who are exhibiting similar levels of understanding and behavior, we may not get the thousands or the hundreds of respondents participating in our polls. And some up until now have said, well, polls are more about being lighthearted and just getting people to kind of forget about business, forget about expertise of any sort, and just let their guard down and be human. But if I were to put a poll out that asked on weekends, hey, we're going out for pizza, the family, and Turns out that I hate Hawaiian. My wife loves Hawaiian. The kids like, just regular cheese pizza. What's your favorite topping? We see these all the time. Sometimes it's pizza, sometimes it's, something else. But polls that have zero alignment to someone's area of expertise, I see that shifting. So today those are getting high engagement, but they will either fall flat or they will continue to have that high level of engagement, but bring a little value to the person who's posting it. If you're an expert in any field other than, and we'll keep using the pizza example, if you're an expert in any field other than being a restaurateur or a distributor or supplier for pizza or a restaurant, and you're putting that poll out, yeah, you might get some good engagement, but it's doing nothing for your personal brand. It's doing nothing for you in terms of giving you the social authority for your expertise. You're doing yourself a disservice by distracting the algorithm. Hey, you want to be known for pizza? Great. That seems to be the only thing you'd like talking about are these poll questions that have zero relevance. So your irrelevance becomes your relevance in the eyes of the algorithm.
That is actually one of the very key points. If you stick to your guns and you are known, like I know someone who was famous as a candy tester. Like, I have no idea if she's still alive, but her brand was, guess what? I just found out about this brand new candy bar and I'm going to give it a score. I'm going to unwrap it. I'm going to tell you what it feels like. I'm going to tell you what it tastes like. I'm going to give it a score out of 10 and I'm going to tell you where you can buy it. And next week I'm going to go to another shop and they've got a different candy bar. Right? And that was her channel. Her YouTube channel was about that. Now, if you did that consistently every week, I'm unwrapping a candy bar and giving it a score. That's in a way what LinkedIn wants. You are the expert on candy. And taste wise, I'm going to give you some synopsises, if that's the right word, of what it's like and how much it costs and if I would buy it again. Now, I don't know if I've ever seen a candy bar video on LinkedIn, but given the analogy we're using, if that person did that every day for a year, they would be like LinkedIn's leading expert on candy, because that's what LinkedIn wants. I'm using a really stupid analogy to exercise the point. Would you agree?
That's right. No, I would agree. And it's here's let's jump into, because this is a perfect timing to lean into this. Things to avoid, critical behaviors to avoid. If that's what you want to be recognized for, if you do it enough times, you will in fact be recognized for that. But stop over relying on AI. If you want to be known for something and you're leveraging AI, hey, the secret's out. Everyone's kind of leaning into AI. But when you start looking and feeling and reading and sounding the same as everyone else, the cat's out of the bag. You're using AI. You still have to show up. Use AI to get you.
Let's have that discussion. Everyone's using it. Not everyone, but most people are using it. How do we use it as an adjunct? I want to share a story about this in a minute, but I'd love to hear how you think we can use AI to get a start, maybe make our stuff look a little bit better, but we can't rely on it. What do we need to add to make it a little bit more human?
So from a written perspective, I like the fact that live streams provide transcripts. So I can take this conversation, ask it to analyze this conversation and summarize it for someone who missed the live show and wants a brief or quick summary. What were the key takeaways? And it will analyze and give me different variations. I will then ask it to align it with best practices for different formats. Hey, analyze this analyze this for a email blast. Analyze this for Substack best practices. It'll then
So
take the
you're using
words.
AI after the event.
I'm using AI after the event to help analyze. I will then put it into my own words. It'll give me a breakdown. Yeah, we in fact did talk about all of this. So it's not, I'm no longer cutting and pasting because it's taking my real time conversation and summarizing it for me.
Yeah, okay. That's a very good use of AI. Yeah. You're taking what you already do and summarizing it and then making additional snippets from it. Because what it does there is it saves time.
That's right. So unlike what others are doing, I'm not here to judge what others are doing, but we know for a fact that people are entering a prompt. Hey, write me a newsletter on the subject of live streaming. Or let's write a blog post for someone who's a novice in live streaming, wanting to get into live streaming. And it'll craft something for you. And if you cut and paste it, does it sound like you? If someone who knows and follows me reads something that I just copied and pasted, they'll very quickly be able to point out, it's like, all right, America, I could have just got this from a prompt I would have written myself. It would have given me the same information. I want to hear your perspective. I want to hear, you add some social proof. Great. AI may have given you the framework, but add some context, add some logic that'll help me understand rather than just taking a theory and just broadcasting it and pasting it into a post of some kind.
Yeah. I've got a couple of ideas here that we can talk about if we don't have any questions. I've been using as an additional strategy to LinkedIn Substack, and I've almost got 50 posts since the 2nd of December because I'm really into it. But what I've started to notice on this note is that I'll write a post or create a post, and that'll be fairly generic. But because I've got 50 other ones to choose from, I write related posts, and then I pick 2 or 3 others that build on that story. And so suddenly it's like this circular loop. Here's the fresh story, maybe 100 words, but here's a story I wrote 3 days ago that's somewhat similar that gives you a different perspective. Right? So we're using AI to get started, but we're not relying on it specifically without any additional effort. Yeah.
That's right.
And the other thing I'm really excited about, like I've got this down, is that I don't mind admitting that I write, if that's even the right word, I create my songs using Perplexity. So I will say to Perplexity, can you write me a catchy song called What Is This New Algorithm? And I want it to be in a sort of an 80s funky style like, Human League or Devo. Because it's really sort of, it's very technical, very technologically sort of advanced, which that did sound like at that time. So then that will create words. What is this new algorithm? ... And it'll rhyme and it'll sound like a song in a very basic way. Then I'll put it into Suno and I'll say, can you write this song with a funky techno beat, snappy snare and funky bass and this really out there keyboard riff, and sort of imagine you're living in the 80s. And it'll come up, and I've got one. We can play it at the end. And it comes up with a song. Now, I didn't write that, and I didn't use it, but I'm using the technology in a very creative way. Now, what I'm imagining, and this is what I will do if I'm going to get very good at this, is I will take that away, and I do this. I print the words out, and I go and make myself a coffee, and then I write words that I think make more sense to me. The words rhyme in a very banal way, in a very sort of nursery rhyme type of way. But sometimes I like to use clever sort of juxtaposition. So, for instance, today I wrote a song called If You're Going to Keep Going, if you're going to keep going this way, I might just go away. Which is what I would probably say to a real person. Like, if you're going to keep going this way, I'm probably just going to go away. So I wrote a song, this heartfelt song on acoustic guitar, pseudo acoustic guitar because I can't play guitar, of this guy singing to his girlfriend If you're just going to keep going the way you're going, I'm just going to go away. So I started with AI. I got the basics of a song out, but it was very banal. Then I sat down, I printed it out as a Word document, made a cup of tea, in my case, chai, and then I rewrote some of the lyrics myself with my head, with my voice. So it is important that we just don't churn out what's now being called AI slop. I don't know if you've heard this phrase.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So everyone's churning out this AI slop, which actually means nothing but looks the part. Just wondering if we've got any chat. Have we got some chat there? Can I actually access the chat from here, or is that you doing that? AI has helped me start writing content.
Yeah, so the trend is writing on YouTube. Thanks for jumping into the conversation. AI has helped me write or start writing content about areas and topics that I would not have usually ventured into.
Yeah, so it begins. And then it's very important, like we're obviously writing about the AI algorithm for LinkedIn. I don't know anything about it, so I've got to start somewhere. So I found this 68-page document, a PDF. I mean, bloody hell, 68 pages. It's just not it's just not my lifestyle. So I then said, well, can you analyze this and give me the skinny on this? Like give it to me as a one-pager? Yep, I can. And I got the one-page sort of condensed version. And then I actually wrote a song about this. And then I punched that into Suno, and it wrote a song about, what is this new algorithm? Some guy playing maracas in a Mexican town. So we made it fun. Who's going to read a 68-page document? Who's going to read that? Maybe the person who wrote it and 3 of his friends. I'm not going to read it.
Well, here's another great example. You take the article that I put out in advance of today's show. I took the article and I punched in a prompt on gamma.io and said, hey, take this article and produce a PowerPoint presentation, taking out the key points from my article. And this PowerPoint is being presented with the help and assistance of AI. It took my article, it took the research that I put together, and it put it into a presentation for me.
Yeah. This stuff is not only time saving, it is mind blowing because we wouldn't have done it otherwise. It's not either or. Like this stuff is saving us so much time that we're doing things now we would never have done. So it's not like we're just cheating. We're actually doing things we never did before because we can.
That's right.
These little snippets that and talk about this too. Substack creates these little snippets of these shows for you, and it's very timely and it's very, very concise, and it has a little note there on the lyrics or the words are overwritten. We wouldn't have time to do that, so we just wouldn't do it. It's not like we would pay someone else and they're missing out on it. We just wouldn't do it. So now we have something that we didn't have before. And that becomes so maybe 4 little snippets you can give to people. Bloody brilliant, isn't it?
It is brilliant. Absolutely. And there's, we should be proud. And a lot of people shake their heads. Oh my goodness, you used AI. This is so fake. Listen, yeah, there's it's no secret. There are stuff that comes across and visually appears to be fake. But there are tools here that are helping us create and do things that we wouldn't have done otherwise, as you point out, which is very valuable. And then there's cases where it's doing things or assisting you with things that you were going to do, but it saves you time. And time is such a valuable resource. I could have put this PowerPoint together, probably would have taken me an extra hour, where in minutes, it took my article and gave me slides to choose from.
Tell me how you did that. What tech is that where you use Gamma?
Yes, so I used Gamma to create the PowerPoint slide.
From a transcript or from a written article?
From a written article. I put in the prompt, hey, analyze this article that I put out on LinkedIn earlier today. I wanted to summarize and highlight the key speaking points for today's show. And here's the description of today's show. Enter all of that, and it spits out, here's what we think. You can then edit. It's like, all right, there's either too much or not enough. Then you can use what it recommends, and then you can add and tailor it accordingly. But it's not making stuff up for me. It's taking what I've already created in a different format, distributed in a different channel, and it's taking that same information and helping me repurpose it.
Do you think that if someone challenged you to go back to a life without a dishwasher, would you do it?
Well, if you have no choice, you go back to it. But I think it's safe to say that many of us would choose not to go back to a life, whether it's a dishwasher, whether it's a car wash. Now, who wants to take out a bucket and a pail and suds, and scrub their car outside their home or in their garage or wherever? Like, when you can just drive through, sit in the comfort of your car, listen to a few tunes, and let technology wash your car.
It's a very good analogy. A car wash is a very good example of modern life. Would you go back to when I first moved to Melbourne, 1984, I lived with this older family, and they had this two-pronged system where you would wash your clothes, and then you would have to take them out of that device and put them in another device to spin them. And so it was like 2 20-minute cycles per load per session. So I'd wash my clothes and they'd wash, and then I'd have to take them out and put them in another gadget to spin them, and then they'd be sort of dry enough to put on the line. Right? And I don't think I'd go back to that device. I wouldn't. I wouldn't choose to go back to a device where I had to wash and spin separately. And I would never go back to a life where I can't load the dishwasher one day and have it all done in 3 hours and just go and do things, and then just take the devices out. This is, in a way, AI. It's a type of AI. It's a mechanical device that actually is working in your favor. The challenge is, a lot of people just use it without any discernment, and suddenly we come up with this phrase AI slop. Yeah. And we've been going a long time after hours. Are you getting tired? Am I pushing your limit? I can go for 4 hours.
I know you can. Yeah, I would lose that challenge if I put myself up to it. Now we'll continue. We're just ramping up. It's been a fantastic conversation, and listen, we're just scratching the surface. As I touched on at the beginning of the show, I am not an expert in this field of understanding or claiming to understand the algorithm. This is research and learnings that I've encountered and came across and felt it was valuable to not only share, but share from a live streaming perspective, because I'm reading and all my research is pointing to assistance and resources from every angle, with the exception of the angle that focuses and centers on events.
And it's a great segue into the opportunity that we present. You've got a lovely slide there with the strategic opportunity that this now presents us.
Yeah. Absolutely. But let's talk a little bit about, because it's been staring me right in the eyes, and I want to talk about it. It wasn't part of the research, but I want us to understand and take a moment to discuss that AI cannot fix bad audio. While it will read and understand what we're writing, what we're transposing, what we're putting on, it does not understand the difference between good or bad audio.
Are we making this up, or are we seeing that the research dictates that LinkedIn wants the quality to be there? LinkedIn wants to reward good quality.
Wants to reward good quality of content, but it isn't said. I did include this as part of my research. It's more of a recommendation than research, based on experience, based on real life examples where I learned that no matter how polished we can get with or without AI, if we don't sound good, you can lean and leverage AI all you want, but if you don't sound good, it's not going to fix bad audio or bad visuals. All right, we lost Keith. Let's bring him back on stage.
AI can't fix bad quality audio. This is a very important point. How far do we take it for the novices? This is exactly what you teach. You like, people who don't know. But a good mic, a decent mic, can be $50, can't it?
Yeah, well, a decent mic can be, it's very affordable, and if you can't afford a $50 mic, then you may want to invest in one of Keith's shows where he will walk you through what you can do on a relatively small budget, from something as simple as finding the right environment to sit in, what to sit around, what to surround yourself with. I learned a lot from one of those conversations where you shared, hey, sit on a couch, surround yourself in a room with curtains, with plants, with pillows around you, just to absorb the sound.
Let's start there. That's a very, very good thing. AI can't fix bad sound, but good sound doesn't have to cost a lot of money. In fact, it doesn't have to cost any money.
Anything.
Because if you can sit in an environment where there's soft furnishings and plants and lovely environments, then the environment will sound good. I have seen, and I've been on some of your shows, where people are sitting in this harsh room with harsh walls, near big windows, with tiles on the floor and high roofs, and they sound like they're in a tunnel. Now, they don't know that because they don't have headphones on. So just by wearing, this is the biggest hack, just by wearing headphones and hearing what you sound like to others, once you get used to that, that is the most important hack with good sound. Because you'll be able to say, hey, guess what? I sound like I'm in a tunnel. What's going on? There's that big window. Why don't I put a curtain over that? Or why don't I go and sit on the couch? Or why don't I try and sit in a different position? It's very easy to do, and we've had these discussions, and we've seen them in real life, in real time. People simply moving to the lounge room and making a miraculous difference in like 4 seconds.
Yeah,
you've been on those calls, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're talking about AI today and all the great things that it can do, and yes, we did say moments ago AI can't fix bad audio. Technically, if you had the right software, it probably could. But if you didn't have that as a resource, there's fundamentally different things that you can do at zero cost to sound good.
Yeah, and most importantly, as it relates to the new algorithm, LinkedIn can tell, and I don't think it'll penalize you if you have bad audio, but it will reward those who go to the effort. And I guess that's the way to look at this. If you go to the effort, you will be rewarded. It won't be wasted. And if you don't, you'll just sort of fall to the back. There won't be any dramatic shifts, but you just will get overlooked. It's like anything, isn't it?
It is like anything. So
you'll get the reward.
Anyone who talks about or has spoken about the poor reach, the poor engagement, all right, the cat's out of the bag. We now know why it happened. The question now becomes understanding, because they're being very transparent in saying that the new algorithm isn't here to punish creators. It's designed to elevate the meaningful voices and the authentic expertise. So if you want to wallow in what was once great engagement and fool no one but yourself, then you will continue to not see the results. Now, if you want to take the proverbial bull by the horns and say, all right, you've now shared with me why I was experiencing poor reach and poor engagement, it is now incumbent upon me to learn what I need to do differently. And upon doing anything that is being suggested, doing that differently, consistently, I will be rewarded.
I love it. It's a nice way. It's a positive way to view it. Like, we've got the opportunity. It's here to be taken. You can wallow in what was and whinge, or you can say, hey, if I embrace this, I'm going to be the first to get this. Like, a lot of people won't. A lot of people won't watch this episode. A lot of people won't learn what we know now to be the truth. They just won't bother learning it. And if that's the case, that's up to them. But for those that want to learn, the availability of really massive shifts is possible. As you've got here on the slide, there's a massive opportunity if you embrace it.
That's correct. And I support and I'll stand behind it. And now, knowing what I know today, and I'll continue to learn, and I'll continue to do my research and gain best practices to look at this from a lens that will help myself and help those who are live streaming host their and deliver their best experience to their audience and to their community, whether it's through educating, through inspiring, through building community. We now know what is being asked of us. It is now our responsibility to make that happen.
We've been given a cheat sheet in a way, haven't we? We've been given the rule book.
That's right. So, and this slide caps it off nicely. The playing field has changed and now favors substance over followers. So let's not worry about who shows up, for how long they show up. Just know that if you stick to delivering value, whether it's live or on demand, and I know we prefer live, the live engagement, there's nothing more rewarding than having someone immerse themselves in a live conversation. That is the core of live streaming. You want to be able to answer questions in real time, participate in dialogue and conversations in real time, but don't lose sight of the fact that there's an abundance of opportunity that goes beyond the live. And I'm going to demonstrate right after by starting to repurpose, and you'll start seeing and experiencing today's show in different variations, written short clips. It will find its way through where I'm hanging out. So YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack. And I will demonstrate. This will be my social proof. This is why I host my events. It's to be able to share with my community who ask, hey, do you have any demos? Are there any pieces of work that you can share that you do? Absolutely.
But I'm getting a message from the universe. Why don't we wrap it up and we'll go into the funky version, the 1980s funky. I'm going to go back in the time machine. You've arrived in 1982 and Devo and Human League and Duran Duran are on the top 40. And I've got this little funky version using AI. I'm just saying it. I don't pretend to be anything special there, but I do have a song. What is this new algorithm?
All right, let's cue that one up. And before I hit the play button, take a moment to thank everyone who showed up, who participated during the live, who listened, as well as those who will listen and engage in the replay. All right, so Keith, I love doing these events with you. These are great conversations. I want to thank you, and we'll shut the studio down here from Toronto. Thanks for making it all the way from Melbourne, Australia. And now coming to you from our studios in Toronto, What is the new algorithm?
What is this new algorithm? Got me spinning in your rhythm. Every click, every beat feels like you were made for me. What is this new algorithm? Is it real or just a system? I don't know, it's truth or fiction. Because I'm trapped in your encryption. I was scrolling through the static, lost in lines of code and magic. Then you showed up in my feed, like you knew just what I need. Your smile, a perfect recommendation, tailored to my situation. Is it fate or calculation? I'm caught in fascination. Every move you make, it's optimized. Like you're reading all my vibes. Is it love or just design? I'm trying to decode the sign. What is this new algorithm? Got me spinning in your rhythm. Every click, every beat feels like you were made for me. What is this new algorithm? Is it real or just a system? I don't know, it's truth or fiction. Because I'm trapped in your encryption. You're the glitch I didn't fix. A perfect loop I can't resist. You're trending in my heart's domain. A viral spark I can't explain. Are you comfortable to adore me? Or just data that implores me? Swipe right, up deep. I'm in too far to sleep. What is this new algorithm? Got me spinning in your rhythm. Every click, every beat feels like you were made for me. What is this new algorithm? Is it real or just a system? I don't know, it's truth or fiction. Because I'm trapped in your encryption. Locked in your encryption.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Fantastic.